Hello and welcome to the Michigan and Trumbull podcast. I'm Alex Freeman, joined as always by Luke Jaconis. Luke, we got a game live currently. Well, we are live here on YouTube, so you will hear us reacting to the game as it concludes. Currently, just a timestamp for folks that are listening later. The seventh inning has just come to an end. The Tigers are down 2-0 against the New York Yankees. With that ado, Luke, how are you?
Two fools and a live. That's what we're going to call this episode. Doing good. Life is good. Baseball is back. The Detroit Tigers, I'm not going to bury the lead here, are playing excellent. Could not have probably written a better start to the season. I know that's even more impressive considering the fact that they started the season 0-3, which was an 0-3, but also somehow probably the most positive 0-3 it could have been. Very hard to beat the Dodgers. But yeah, they played great. Season's been really fun to watch this far. Offense has been great. Pitching has been phenomenal. And even if they're not able to make a comeback here against the Yankees today, the fact they've won 3 series in a row following that 0-3 start, pretty darn good way to kick off 2025.
And yeah, I think that there's a lot of people that would, I was reading in The Windup, which is Ken Rosenthal's newsletter this morning, people talking about, he was like, are these Tigers legit, was what he was talking about. He goes, they're on a 5-game winning streak, which maybe looks like it's coming to an end today, but that's okay. And he said, the first 3 of the wins of that streak were against the Chicago White Sox, but 2 pretty convincing wins against the Yankees in this series, and also going back to winning that Mariners series. So, I mean, you got a Mariners series win, you got a Yankees series win, and you swept the White Sox, which all you can do is beat the teams you're supposed to beat.
Exactly.
And they did that.
Yeah, you can't. I always get frustrated when it's like, well, who did they beat? It's like they beat who was on the schedule. That's who they beat. They beat the team that Major League Baseball assigned them to play for 3 games, and they beat them. I don't care if it's the Dodgers. I don't care if it's the White Sox. They beat the team that was in front of them. They won the series. Handle your business. Go home. So yeah, I mean, it's been great. It's been really, really, and honestly, not to play, if and buts were candy nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. But the fact of the matter is, they were a couple of big hits away from taking at least one of those Dodger games. I know Brisky kind of fell apart there in game 2, and then a comeback short in the 9th inning of that 3rd game against Seattle of really coming back from that road trip, the West Coast road trip, 4-2. So again, it's all hypothetical. They're 7-4 right now, maybe 7-5 by the end of this Yankee game here today. But if you're a Tiger fan, this has been a great start. And I was just saying to you, Alex, before we got going, I know they started 5-0 last year. And we know they started 0-3, this year. But man, I mean, it feels different. It feels different. The offense is playing well, pitching is good. It's all there. So, good stuff.
It's really funny. As we just kind of quickly unpacked kind of what the state of the season is, kind of where I want to start our conversation is in that Dodgers series, because I think that there were, and I don't know that I really saw a ton of this, but there's a logic to. They go play the Dodgers. They come away 0-3, and if you weren't watching those games necessarily, you could be like, well, same old Tigers, I guess. But there was something really different in those games, and I think the way the Tigers have played coming out of those games says more about how freaking good the Dodgers are than it does anything about the state of the Tigers, because I watching those Dodgers games, I was like, oh yeah, this is a potentially 115, 120 win baseball team. That they're so good, and that roster is just so stacked that, I think it's going to take kind of a miracle for somebody to defeat the Dodgers in the playoffs.
Yeah, you could probably hand the Dodgers the hardware right now, and I think we could probably save ourselves 5 or 6 months of baseball. Why would you want to do that? Because
Let's
then
just
then
all play
you
for second
completely
place, shall we?
yeah, then you completely, miss my favorite sport of all the major, professional sports in the world. So yeah, I don't want to skip the season, just trophy handed to the Dodgers. This isn't the COVID season anymore.
That's right.
Um, so yeah, no, yeah, Dodgers are great. I mean, we all know the Dodgers are the Dodgers. Look, I'm going to say this. Look, I'm going to kind of skip past the Mariners and the White Sox, and we can come back to those. I think we felt, Mariners was just pretty good all across board, pretty good
Yeah.
baseball. They were a little bit sloppy defensively. Honestly, I'm not going to lie, against
Mhm.
the Dodgers, against Seattle. I think maybe it was game 1 or game 2 of the White Sox, or maybe I'm kind of they're all starting to blend together. But much better defensively these last few games
Yeah.
against the Yankees in particular. But I wanted to fast forward now to the current Yankees series that we're in, if we may, because the Yankees are a good team, man. I mean, I know they lost
Mhm.
Garrett for the year, but I mean, this is still a team with a crazy good lineup. It's the fact, and the fact that the Tigers, Tigers are down 2-0 now in the top of the eighth, and I think Benetti said on the broadcast that when I think it was Rice who hit the 2-run homer to put the Yankees out in front. That was the first lead that the Yankees had all series.
Wow.
Not only had the Tigers been winning, they've been dominating this series up to this point. And again, this game is still not over, so you never know what could happen. But it's been dominant baseball these last kind of 4 or 5 games from the Tigers. And now we have to say all this with a grain of salt. We are only 11 to 12
Mhm.
season. There is a lot of season to go. For those of you who recall, last year the Tigers actually kind of broke the curse and had a pretty darn good month of April,
Yep.
and then they turned into paper mache for May and June. So before we just start planning a parade, let's definitely take a breath here. The schedule this month does not let up. I know they go, I believe, to Minnesota after this Yankee series, and Minnesota's not playing great baseball right now, but they're
Mhm.
going to see some pretty decent teams throughout this entire month of April. So, yeah, it's a good start. Really good to see. I mean, I'll kick it to you, Alex, first, because there's a lot we can actually unpack about what has been successful. What has been the one big standout? Has there been a standout player or two to you that you feel has really kind of opened your eyes these first 12 games?
Yeah, I think for me, what has actually stood out the most is not necessarily a single player. It has been that the fight that defined the gritty Tigs at the end of last season has continued into this
Mhm.
season, and that's I feel like something we haven't necessarily seen in a very long time. Is like a carryover from the previous season. That I think that we've seen growth every year from the AJ Hinch led Tigers, but we had not yet seen, okay, great, this is kind of how last year ended, and now this is how this year is beginning. Because even in that Dodgers series, maybe the Saturday night game is the one that they maybe felt out of at one point, but there has yet to be a game that I've been watching where I've been like, okay, they have their body language suggests to me that they feel like they are out of this game, and I don't think I
Mhm.
have seen that yet this season, which is great to see because they were obviously on in playoff mode for like the last 6 weeks of last season. And so to see them kind of continuing with that mentality of like we will come in, we will methodically, we will work innings, we will work at bats, we will generate the runs in the way that we need to generate the runs. I mean, there's been a time when we were doing this show, Luke, that if they were down 2-0 in the eighth inning, we'd be like, well, that's the game. Call it quits. Pack it
Yeah.
in. There's no way. There's no way they can generate runs.
I would have already tweeted that I'm not watching
Yeah,
the rest of the season. That would have been it. And here I am being like, only the eighth inning. There's plenty of time left as far as I'm
yeah,
concerned.
yeah.
Boy, what AJ Hinch can do to a man's mental health. Great work, AJ.
Well, and even with the injury bug biting, right? Like they started this season with key guys on IL. So they've started to get some of those guys back. They have sent a couple of other guys to IL, um, and we're still sitting here, first place in the division, 12 games in, with probably what'll maybe be a half game lead at the end of the day, and feeling like pretty good about where things stand, and like they're not playing their best baseball yet, um, which is great. as opposed to last year, I think we were like, oh, this team is like playing their best baseball right now, here in the first week of April. And what's going on? But like here, while it feels like very good, it feels like they've been fighting in every game. It also still feels like there's like a very high ceiling on this team that
Yeah.
we haven't approached yet.
Well, I think you bring up a great point. They've been playing really good baseball, but they haven't been able to play their best baseball yet. And I think the reason for that is because they don't have their team. I mean, you've kind of
Yeah.
alluded to it a little bit, but this team, although they're going to be a 7, potentially 8-4 or 7-5 team, depending on how this game wraps up today, and they're off to a really nice start, they are decimated with injuries, especially on offense. They were out their 3 arguably starting outfielders outside of Riley Green going into the season. No Vierling, no Wenzel Perez, no Parker Meadows, gone. They lose Gleyber Torres pretty early into the season. And then yesterday, Manuel Margot and Jake Rogers hit the IL. So they are pretty banged up right now, but it's, again, a testament to an A.J. Hinch-led team. It is just kind of that next man up mentality. I know it's a cliche, but I mean, Zach McKinstry is playing great baseball right now. I hate to say this to you folks, Javier Baez is playing pretty damn good baseball right now. I mean, he's still Javi. He's got his Javi moments, but 12 games into the season, he's looking pretty good. And I'm not going to bury the lead any longer on my end, kind of going back to the question I asked you if there's been someone that stood out or anything.
Yeah.
Spencer Torkelson, again, only 12 games, incredibly small margin size, sample size, considering we got 162 to play. But what a turnaround this guy has had. And it's just, you can just tell. I was talking with my brother about it, and he's like, what do you think changed with Torkelson? And I was like, I mean, obviously his stance, his mechanics, where he's got his hands. I think he's got more of that closed stance. He was so much, they were showing some footage of last year. I never realized how wide his stance was last season. He's kind of closed up there. He shored up the hands. To me, it looks like he's slimmed down a little bit from last season. Looks a bit more lean and trim. Overall, I mean, his hand movement is just so much quicker, so much faster to the ball. I mean, he's driving balls. He's hitting them on line drives. He's not getting under and popping them up anymore. It's just good to see. Again, it's a small sample size, but it's pretty blatant what this offense can look like when Spencer Torkelson is in the heart of it and he is producing like we all thought and hoped he would be able to. You mix with him, Riley Green off to a great start. Kerry Carpenter is just absolutely crushing the ball. Scary Kerry Carpenter is back in full force. Dylan Dingler has come out of nowhere, absolutely nowhere on off. I mean, Tigers just lost Jake Rogers, and I love Jake Rogers. One of my favorite guys on the team. I think in terms of defensively, a much better catcher than Dylan Dingler, and that's going to hurt, at some point as well, losing that defensive kind of prowess behind the plate. But from an offensive standpoint, Dingler has been outperforming Rogers these first, week and a half of the season. So I'm okay with Dingler kind of getting the lion's share of the reps till Rogers comes back from IL. I mean, there's overall they've been contributing really well together as a team. Justin Henry Moy obviously got the call up pretty early into the season. He's come out contributing. I mentioned McKinstry. I mentioned Javi Baez. Trey Sweeney also, producing early on. So, yeah, it's good to see. And then you have on the pitching side of things, the pitching has been this pitching that we have talked about for years due to Chris Fetter and his team. Scooble really looked good, had a great bounce back against the Yankees in Game 2. Flaherty has been phenomenal since coming back to Detroit. Reese Olson, pretty solid for the most part. Has had a couple little bumps and bruises, not like a solid Reese Olson, but, been good. Job is going to have those struggles. He's only pitched, 2 full games in the major leagues at this point as a starter. And then I'm saving the best for last because similar to Spencer Torkelson, how can you not just be elated with what Casey Mize is doing on the mound? I mean, he's
100%. It's been so nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we jumped into a time machine, and I can picture myself back in 2020, 2021 being like, man, when Mize and Torkelson are all here and they're producing at their heart, their top level, and we just haven't seen that, and now we're actually finally seeing it. It's almost like a pinch me, I'm dreaming moment. And they're playing great. They're playing great, and the bullpen's been the bullpen. I know Holton gave up the big fly today in the Yankee game, but that's not going to happen very often. Everyone has an off day here and there, but the bullpen's been pretty solid. I mean, Tommy Kahnle, Brebbia, Holton, Vest, Brant Herter looked pretty darn good against the Yankees. He went, I think, 3 deep yesterday following the Scooble start. So, yeah, good stuff all around. I'm pretty pleased.
And we've said it so many times. Like if a guy gets tagged for a home run, I'm not mad about it because it means generally he put it in the zone. He threw a challenging pitch, and the batter just did did magic on it. And like here's the thing too about the power that we've been seeing from these bats. We've played half these games in Detroit where it has been cold.
Freezing.
Like I think most of the broadcast yesterday. So I listened to because I'm in the New York media market. I was not allowed to watch on MLB.TV the Tigers Yankees game.
Thanks,
And so
Rob. Keep
I
growing the
was,
game.
yeah. So I was listening to the radio broadcast, and they just kind of kept talking about how cold it was, and that like with all the conditions yesterday, not great home run conditions, and the Tigers had three.
Yeah.
So I'm excited
No,
for the weather.
they had four. They had
Oh
four
yeah, it
yesterday.
was
They
four.
went back to back to back, and then Carpenter later in the game. Yeah, they went back to back to back. Torkelson, McKinstry, Dingler, and then Carp won, I think, the very next inning or the inning or two after that. Yeah. It's I mean, the power's been there, which also that's another great thing. I'm glad you brought that up because I feel like that's something we have not seen in recent years for the Tigers. You have like maybe one guy who's a fringe 20 guy. Abanez had that big 3-run homer in the game before, which was great to see. So yeah, the power's definitely been there too, which is if they can keep that up, especially as it's only going to get warmer in Detroit over the summer and everything, that ball's going to be soaring on a Comerica.
Which yeah, it's I mean, it's probably been 10 years since we've had multiple power bats in the lineup.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of I think it was 2023. That was the year Torkelson hit like 33. Rogers had 20. I think that was the last year, if I want to say. And then there was the year in 2021 where they had like four guys who had like over 20, if I'm not mistaken. But that feels like a lifetime ago. I want to bring it back to Comerica Park for a second for you. What do we think of these changes at Comerica Park?
Yeah.
And how high was Chris Ilitch getting this offseason? I know he was going through some personal problems. I don't mean to bring up dirty laundry, but good Lord, man, did he just like take it out on Comerica? A lot of these changes, I mean, Chris Ilitch can pretty much do no good in my book that would ever win back any good graces. That ship has sailed at this point. But I mean, my God, I'm not just, this isn't on the I hate Chris Ilitch train, but these changes are awful. I mean, they're just not good.
Yeah, I mean, you can see in my background behind me the script Tigers, no longer there. And sure, I mean, I certainly understand. If we got to make a sponsor happy, we got to make a sponsor happy. But I can't believe that there wasn't a different option beyond removing of like a beloved feature of the scoreboard.
It's literally the team name. I mean, I get it, trying to make a sponsor happy, but you can't give them like a big wall out in like center field or left, like somewhere, anywhere else, like a brick wall somewhere. Yeah, that. And then what the dirt to the mound. I actually thought that was kind of a cool feature, but I guess allegedly where I guess go to the defensive Chris Ilitch, I guess, is I think some of the players, mainly the pitchers, I think had complained about that. And so
that is true. Pitchers, players don't like it, did not like it. But I agree with you from a fan perspective. Like that was one of my favorite fun facts to share is that the Tigers were the only Major League Baseball team with that feature.
My biggest gripe though is this. It's not so much the removal of the Tiger sign, which I think is lame, or the dirt mound going away. Those seats behind home plate. I mean, I get it. Sports nowadays, the price of a ticket's going up, concessions are going up, everything's going up. It's just the way of the world currently, unfortunately. But what is it for 2 tickets behind home? A seat in one of those like luxury seats is like $1,200 a ticket.
Yeah,
and I don't even know if you can. I don't even know if you can. If you can like book them at a one-on-one basis. I thought it was like you can only get like certain like packages. I don't know if you can just book them one-off. So. Maybe you can, but if you do book them one-off, I think it's like $1,200 a seat, which is, I mean, I know it's April in Detroit. It's not the most glamorous time to go to a baseball game, but I mean, my God, the way this team is playing, you'd think right now they're the 2019 Tigers with how much empty seats there are behind home plate. I mean, yeah, it looks stupid.
Yeah, it's a really interesting like time in Detroit sports generally, right? Like because Detroit is the definition of a blue collar city.
Correct.
And certainly there's large amounts of the fan bases that are from the managerial class, that are white collar workers that live,
Yes, sir.
in the outer belt around Detroit, and they have money for those types of seats and tickets and things. But the vast majority of the fan base for the Tigers and the Lions and the Pistons do not have that kind of money, where they can just like drop $2,400 to go to the game, and
That's just to
sit
get you in
in.
the door. That's
Yeah,
just your
and,
butt to be in a seat for 3 hours. That
and
doesn't.
to
That
to
doesn't.
sit
Yeah,
to sit there. But like the Lions had the highest average single ticket price, of any NFL team last year. The Tigers are making these changes. The Pistons, who just completed a turnaround, I imagine we will see,
ticket
um,
increases.
a huge increase in the ticket price to get into a Pistons game. And what is disheartening to me is, yeah, I understand ownership. Like, you have invested a ton of money in turning around these teams. Um, Maybe not you, Chris, but making these turnarounds happen is not cheap. And like, I do understand that you probably want to make some of that money back, but like, maybe not on the backs of the fans that have like literally stuck around through just the depths of hell of Detroit sports. Like,
Yeah.
let's maybe ease up a little bit. And especially like, yeah, like right now, if these seats are going to be sitting empty, like, here's what I propose. Here's my actual proposal. Here we go. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
I want some Disney style magic with those empty seats. That if those seats are unsold 30 minutes before first pitch,
Mm-hmm.
just start randomly upgrading people.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
say, hey, if you're in 403, seats 17 and 18, come on
Come on
down.
down. Yeah, that's the old Billy Joel thing, I'm pretty sure, at his concerts. He
Yeah.
never sells like the front like 10 rows or whatever it is. And then before the show, he goes up to get people who are like in the nosebleeds and brings them down and puts them in the front row because he's like, those are my real fans. He's like, not the rich yuppie who like, can buy anything he wants and will leave after 2 songs. So it's almost the same principle here, I think. I like that. I think
Yeah.
that I like your idea. Yeah, I mean, I understand like the price, everything goes up, and it is shitty. Like if you think about it, because like you said it perfectly, you go through the depths of hell. You're buying tickets and supporting the team when they're winning, 44, 47 games a year, however many it was in 2019, and then literally the second they have even just a smell of success from last season, they're like, and now we're going to charge $1,200 to sit behind home plate, and it's like, all right, Chris. I mean, I get it. I know I'm probably crying poor here, and I get it. When the team gets better, the price of demand goes up a bit, but and it makes them look dumb too. Especially if you saw the opening day footage, that stadium was packed, but the looks of it behind home plate, it looked like a game in early
Yeah.
April in Detroit, and then
Yeah.
you panned around to the stadium and it was bumping. So it was like a very weird contrast, but
Yeah, and that's
it is what it is.
entirely the thing. Like, I mean, if the market will bear a $1,200 ticket, like, I'm going to be upset about it, but I can't fault you necessarily. But like right now,
Right.
prove it that like that's actually the right price to charge for that ticket, because
Agreed.
nobody's paying it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and so do something with it, because yeah, the visual is nobody's at this game.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
now, to be fair,
Maybe nobody is at this game today because it is
yeah, today. I
freaking
mean, also to be
cold
fair,
in
where I
Detroit
will,
today.
yeah, it's cold, and also it is a Wednesday at 3
Yeah,
o'clock in the
middle of the
afternoon.
afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I get, and they move these games. I think the Wednesday game was always a day game in the afternoon, but they moved the Monday and Tuesday game to afternoon games because of the weather. And I mean,
Mhm.
that's a rarity. They don't really do that too much throughout the season, unless maybe it's colder as we get into the summer months, more rain and lightning or whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just something to keep note of. I'm watching this game right now, and I think I just gave John Brebbia a shout out, and he's now plunked 2 guys in a row. Come on, John.
I mean, was he trying?
I don't know. I don't think so because the second guy just hit in the foot. So that doesn't really send a message. It's going to give the guy a really sore ankle in the morning. He's going to be like, damn. Yeah.
Enjoy the flight, you jerk.
Yeah. Yeah. No one gets out of Detroit alive. That's how it works. That's how it works. You know what's interesting too is actually I really like this format of just having the game on and kind of like
Yeah,
weaving
it's
in and
fun.
out. I love it. Good
Yeah.
stuff. I'm surprised at when I was watching the opening day game. How we said it 3 or 4 seasons ago. How the hell is George Lombard still the bench coach for the Tigers? How has that man not like been? I mean, has he been given opportunities and just declined them? Does he just love the coaching staff he's surrounded with in Detroit? Like the man seems like from everything we've heard for many
Mhm.
years, he was at one point in time rumored to be the next manager of the Tigers before AJ Hinch came into
Yep.
the fold. I think his name was floated around with the White Sox for a little while. Yeah, it's shocking that that guy has not been snagged yet.
Yeah, and I like last year, I feel like his name didn't really come up at all.
I feel like every year it's getting less and less.
Which is
I could
which
be
is
wrong, but
absolutely shocking to me because like yeah, so much credit to AJ Hinch and Chris Fetter for what
mhm.
is happening here, but like the way in which the Tigers use analytics and shift their outfielders around. That's George's baby. That's what George is doing.
Yeah.
And I think it's brilliant. I feel like our
Mhm.
outfielders are like 99% of the time in the right spot.
Yeah.
And if they aren't, if you like look at the spray chart, the guy went into a part of the field that he almost never goes to. And so
Right.
I just feel like they're always so well prepared on that front that
Mhm.
it's bizarre that George
Well,
maybe
yeah.
he's deciding to be pickier about like what he's pursuing and like
Hey, man, if you got a good gig and if you like the atmosphere and you like the organization, if the paycheck's there and the people are there, I mean, why? I mean, yeah, maybe he's content. I don't know. Maybe, or maybe he's just kind of biding his time till he gets that offer he's really looking for. I mean, I could have sworn he was linked to the White Sox. It was like 2 years ago. And I don't blame him for not wanting to go to the White
yeah.
Sox. So, I mean, in that case, hey, it is what it is.
Well, that's the similar, not to make this a football show, right? But like that's the Ben Johnson
Correct.
situation, right? Is that
Yeah.
you probably didn't want to go to the Bears 2 years ago.
Hmm.
Um Now is a great time to go to the Bears because I think that
Oh,
a
thank
lot of the
you. That was
pieces
so see,
have fallen correctly.
was that so hard to say? See, was that
I mean,
kindness cost you nothing?
it's way easier to say it in April, Luke, than it will be
Yeah,
in
that is true in
September.
September.
So,
Yes, sir. I agree. I agree. Now I have a hypothetical for you as, let's see.
did he walk another guy?
Oh, no, it's another Colt Keith error at second. Dude,
Oh, it's
I
so
I I now I didn't I was, trying to be nice, but and I'm not just saying this 'cause he made another error. It's so easy to pile on the guy right now. But if I did have to pick one person who's having a tough time defensively at second base, it is Colt Keith. He
yeah.
he bungled that ball in Seattle, had a very gross play that ultimately led to nothing in that Yankee game yesterday, and he just botched a double play ball. And now it's bagged, packed, top nine, nobody out. Good. A gentleman by the name of Aaron Judge. Let's see how
Oh,
this goes.
he's terrible.
Easy.
He's terrible.
Let's see. Let's see if he
He's the
makes it in
worst.
this league. Let's see what this kid's got.
All rise. He just popped that straight up. Get there, stay and play.
Oh, Alex is on a delay. I don't have this. Let's see here. Oh, he just popped that up sky high. Stay and play. And it didn't.
We gotta get longer arms for Spencer.
He,
That's what we gotta get right there.
he needs to turn into Mr. Fantastic in the
Go
offseason.
gadget arms.
Um, my question for you was going to be so Margot's on the IL, Jake
Mhm.
Rogers is on the IL. So I'm going to leave them kind of out of the equation right now because assuming when they're back and healthy, the guys they just called up yesterday was I think Nito and I
Mhm.
can't think of the guy I think from Milwaukee. They'll probably be the first that goes right back down. But when Glaber is back, when Matt Vierling, who looks like might be the next back, Glaber and Vierling are probably going to be the next two guys back, it seems. And Aaron Judge ruins the party. Poop. It's unraveling here, folks. It's unraveling. 4-0 Tigers. 4-0 Tigers losing. 4-0 Tigers losing. Top nine. Such is life. Hey, you know what? 7-5 is still pretty damn good. Going back to my question for you, Alex. When assuming Glaber and Vierling are the next two guys to come back, who's getting sent down? Because It's going to be an interesting thing to watch. I, I don't know who they're going to send down and move around. I think Kreidler is the obvious first one to get the boot. But then beyond
Mhm.
him, I don't know. I would have said maybe McKinstry, Henry, Jay Henn's probably on the bubble, I would say, unfortunately. I don't think he should be, but I feel like he always just is kind of almost like the scapegoat.
Mhm.
McKinstry's been playing really well. Um, yeah, I'll be curious to see. I don't know how they're going to handle that, but good everybody. Kenta Maeda is warming up in the bullpen.
So
Just
AJ's decided the game is over.
AJ is not honestly, which is smart. You got an off day tomorrow. You don't want to burn any guys. Just let not great, not great. So yeah, who do you think gets sent down when Glaber and Vierling, assuming they're the next two guys to come back from IL outside of Rogers and Margot? I'm guessing it's probably Kreidler, but I don't know who
Yeah,
the other guy will be. There's gonna be
yeah,
one unlucky sports fan.
yeah. I think it'll just kind of come down to like who's playing worse at that exact moment. Like I don't think there's another guy who's like trajectory wise is only up here
Mhm.
because of injuries.
Yeah.
Um, and so I mean it's a really nice problem to have
Mhm.
that we don't really know who's going to end up getting sent down in that scenario, and we're not necessarily cheering for anybody specifically to get sent down,
Yeah,
which is
good. Now I'm gonna
a
throw
nice
this
change of
hypothetical out to
pace.
you. I'm gonna throw you this hypothetical, and I don't think this is gonna happen, but it's just a hypothetical. If McKinstry keeps hitting like he's been hitting, Javi's been hitting the ball pretty okay.
Hmm.
Jay Henn's been pretty solid. He's doing okay at the plate. I just mentioned a moment ago he's not been very good at it defensively this season.
Hmm.
Do we see Colt Keith get sent down?
Quite possibly, right? Like, I
I'm just
mean,
curious. I don't think it's going to happen, but I do think that's a sneaky name. I think it's still too early. I think he needs to have like another bad like month and a half before they make that. But keep in mind, they did send Torkelson down. I believe it was
mhm,
mid to late May or sometime in the month of May last year, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yeah,
another bad 2 or 3 weeks defensively or offensively for Colt, and you do start getting these guys back because you got to keep in mind a guy like Vierling can also platoon and play the infield.
yep,
So in terms of defensively, he's more valuable than a Colt Keith. But then you do lose a lefty bat in the lineup, and also a guy who I think is going to have a great career, Colt Keith. I think he's going to be really solid. I think it's just when it rains, it pours sometimes, and unfortunately,
hmm,
he's up without an umbrella at the moment. But yeah, I think that's a very, very, very long shot person too, who maybe gets the boot. But I think it'll maybe be a Kreidler, maybe a Jay. I'll tell you who really should not be on this team. And I just said a moment ago, it's Kenta Maeda. I'm
yep,
sorry. As all the positive things I said about this season, he was awful last season. He has looked awful this season. He absolutely should not have gotten a roster spot over Matt Manning, Cater Montero, any of those guys. Any of those guys.
yeah. It's especially unfortunate because there was a world where I think Kenta could have started this year fine enough. I still don't think he should have been on the roster, but maybe fine enough that you could package him with something and maybe get some prospects out of it of somebody that needed a little depth in the bullpen, etc. But that's just not the case. He's an absolute liability when he comes into games, and I don't foresee that getting better. And so I I think and I hope at some point he's gonna get DFA'd, like, and
You
open
just
up
got
the
to eat the
roster.
contract.
Yeah,
Eat the contract,
just
eat the
open up the
money.
roster spot, and
Yep.
maybe that's not until the trade deadline where they like are
Mhm.
putting together some kind of deal, and nobody obviously wants Kenta, and so he ends up getting DFA'd to clear up the spot for whoever you're bringing in.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, I mean, I just don't. You're not going to use him in a close playoff game. At least I hope not.
No, he's this year's Joey Wentz, Jose Urena, any innings eater guy who's completely mediocre, who at one point in time was a starter, but then got thrusted into the bullpen. That's Kenta
Yeah.
Maeda in a
Yep.
nutshell. Only difference is he made more money than Wentz or Urena,
Yeah.
and he had a 2-year deal as opposed to I think a 1 year like Urena did. Yeah, it's not great, not great for Kenta, but hey, them's the ropes. We got Jazz up here for the Yankees. Man, I like Jazz Chisholm. I still wish he was with the Marlins though. He looked better in the Marlins unis than he does for the Yankees, I must say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is kind of one of those tough situations. The Yankees have done a nice job of like roster construction because there's not really a guy in the Yankees, and I'm like, man, I hate that guy. Like the closest that I get is Aaron Judge, and it's just because he's on the Yankees.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would like Aaron Judge on any other team.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if he played for the Detroit Tigers. I wouldn't complain about it. It definitely wouldn't be bad. Another question too is he's absolutely just crushing the ball in AAA right now. Got to keep in mind at some point in time we're going to see Jace Young back in Detroit. So I'm curious to see how he fits into the equation. I mean, it's you said it. It's a good problem to have.
Especially with the injury situation being what
depth.
It is right now.
Yeah, there is depth. Unfortunately, all the injuries stockpiled in the outfield, so they've literally lost 4 outfielders in the first, not even a couple weeks of the season, because they were out 3 of them going into the season. So Margot was the Band-Aid, and now the Band-Aid's on the IL. So it's been quite the thing. But yeah, we'll see. It's been good. Like I said, they're gonna probably take the loss today, but 7-5. You know what? 3 series wins in a row. This is the schedule, just kind of highlighting for the next next little bit here. Let me see here. So we got at the Twins this upcoming weekend. Then they go to Milwaukee, and then next week they are back home against Kansas City, the Padres, the Orioles, and then that'll pretty much take us into late April when they go to Houston, and then they begin a little more West Coast action in early May against the Angels. They're actually playing some pretty good baseball right now, but I doubt that lasts. And then the Colorado Rockies, who are still in a beautiful ball field, but the product on the field is absolute dog shite.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a nice challenging schedule. I think the Tigers are playing good baseball as they head into it.
Twins aren't playing great ball.
Looking for another series win against the Twins, and easy enough. Just keep on rolling from there. Luke, any final thoughts as we wrap this up?
I like these lives.
Watch the end of the game.
I like these lives that we were able to kind of double dip here a little bit. Hopefully, there's a little ninth inning comeback after we hop off here. But if not, 7-5, pretty good way to start the season. Just honestly, my goal, as I said every April, just tread water. Can you be a couple games under? Can you be a couple games below? If you can, that's fantastic. That's all you need to do. So, yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Folks, if you're listening or watching afterwards, make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube or subscribe to us on your favorite podcast channel, but also make sure you hit that bell notification icon on YouTube so that you can know when we are live and putting the show together. We will be here on the YouTube all season long, folks, and we will chat soon. Luke, have a good one.
See you, buddy. Take care.